and I am trash for this show. And I don't even know why. I just need to stop talking. He is what is he? And I, for one, am super far behind. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be a little less book, a little more TV. And we are all stuck at home right now. And yes, there are more productive things to possibly do than hunker down in front of the TV and just binge a bunch of stuff. But sometimes you just need to binge some TV to distract yourself from everything that's going on in life. And I, for one, am really far behind on all things streaming networks. So I started to take a deep dive to see what was out there, because I, for one, need some massive distractions from life right now. And I figured I'm gonna hunker down and do this by streaming service. So I'm gonna start with Amazon Prime and what's out there. And I have a handful of shows that were already in my queue, but I did a little bit of a search and it's been a while. So either new things are popping up because the world knows that we're all stuck at home, or things have been popping up for a while and I'm just super far behind on it. So the thing with Amazon Prime is these aren't necessarily new shows, but they're good shows. So I put together a list of TV shows and movies, comedy, mystery, older, but I figured let's talk about some shows that you can kind of get lost in for a little while and something to distract us all from the world around us. You guys know I'm not talking about Amazon Prime without talking about Fleabag. So if you want to talk funny, this show is hysterical. And I've talked about it before. This is definitely not for everyone. This is 4-letter words. This is a lot of sex. This is a lot of inappropriate humor. And if it's for you, watch it 10 times over. You will be cackling, laughing, dying. It's like pee your pants kind of funny. It's like that kind of humor to me. But it is definitely like 4-letter word offensive humor also. So not for everyone. And my guidance to this is, if you decide to watch it and you can't get past the first scene of this and what she says in the first scene of this, turn it off. It's cool. It's not for you. No harm, no foul. But if you find any humor in the first scene of this show, just hunker down for the ride because it's that kind of fun. But Phoebe Waller-Bridge, to me, is just, she's genius. She wrote this. She created this. It was a one-woman show. It was a stage production, and now she's doing it on TV. There's only 2 seasons of it. It's over, which makes me want to cry, but it is so well worth the accolades that she got from a writing. I want to say she was even a director, producer, actress, all of it, like quadruple threat. The woman is amazing in my book. And this show, just all the laughs. I just think it is absolutely hysterical. Well done. Bravo. The next crime timey kind of show that I like, which is a little bit more hardcore, is Bones. And this is Emily Deschanel and David Boreanaz. And this is another one that I just love. I have loved him since Angel. I love them together. I just, the first season's a little bit like womp, but I feel like it really like picks up steam in season 2 when Camille Soroyan joins the group as sort of the head doctor, and they really kind of hit a groove. And I love the chemistry between all of them. I like the mysteries. They also have some really good guest stars. Some of the scenes can be a little bit graphic because she's a forensic anthropologist and it's murders that they're solving and he's with the FBI. So there is like a little bit of like ick factor to a couple of the things that you see. But as a whole, I think it's well written. Like the banter is good. The dialogue is good. There is a degree of humor to it as well as some seriousness to it. I will admit I started to taper off towards the end of the show. This was definitely like a will they, won't they, flirtation, get together kind of a thing. And like there is a jump the shark moment in the show, as there are with a lot of shows. But I do think easily 4 or 5, maybe even 6 seasons of this show are just like hardcore, reliable, smart, good, high quality, well done, easy to binge, just can't go wrong kind of TV. The next show is The Good Wife, and this is Juliana Margulies and Josh Charles and Chris Noth and Matt, I can't say his last name, but he was Logan on Gilmore Girls, and Archie Panjabi and Christine Baranski and Nathan Lane and Michael J. Fox and like so many other people were in this show. But this is, Juliana Margulies is married to Chris Noth, and kind of how it opens is he is I want to say he was like the DA in Chicago and like was caught in this like political sex scandal. She stands by him. He winds up going to jail, and it sort of like opens after the scandal has happened, and she is sort of trying to get back to work and sort of coping with that life. And she goes to work at this law firm where Josh Charles, who my love, by the way, since Dead Poets, is one of the partners. They went to law school together. She gets a job there, and it is, Alan Cumming is in this. It is her life, the relationships, there's the law firm aspect of it, there's the personal life aspect of it. This is just such a well done, brilliant show. And I just loved it. I mean, it was so smart. This was one of those things back in the day, the New York Times used to do these Times Talks. I went to a Times Talk with the cast of this show, with the creators of the show. I just was like all in. They actually shot it in New York and pretended it was Chicago, which I thought was just kind of cool, having lived in New York at the time that this was happening. But it is complicated. There's like real life issues in it. There's a lot of emotional family relationship stuff to it. I like, my head is spinning. Like Parker Posey was in it, Stockard Channing, so many amazing guest stars, Matthew Perry. Like, you just can't go wrong with this show. I just think it was so wonderfully done. This is another one of those shows that I did abandon before it was over, because something did happen in the show at one point in later seasons that I didn't love, which basically was like one of my people I liked wasn't on it anymore. But I do want to continue to watch it, so I started to rewatch it from the beginning. I'd kind of forgotten how smart this show was, and this is definitely another one of those, like, you start and you're in the rabbit hole, and it's just amazing. If you're looking for something a little bit lighter, I would recommend Psych, which is James Roday and Dule Hill are the main characters. And James Roday plays a guy named Sean Spencer, who is like this hyper observant Peter Pan kind of syndrome guy. So has never quite grown up, has never quite had a job. And he winds up becoming a consultant for the San Diego Police Department and helps them solve crimes. And because he is hyper observant, he has somehow managed to convince them that he is psychic. And he and Dule Hill, who plays a guy named Gus, open the Psych detective agency and help solve crimes as psychic detectives, which he is not, but everyone thinks he is. So it is funny at times, it's smart, the dialogue is good, the banter is good. The first season is a little bit like trying to find its footing, which is fine, although the second episode with the spelling bee completely cracks me up. And I want to say, I don't know if it's the last episode of episode 1 or season 1 or season 2, where they're at the sorority house, but there's like really funny pop culture references throughout this, which I love. And you know me, I'm like a sucker for pop culture. And there's a musical episode. Dule Hill is a tap dancer, so there's like moments where he's dancing. There are moments when he's singing. He also has a great singing voice, but they like weave all of this stuff in and all of their talents in. And people might know Dule Hill from West Wing, where he obviously was in a super serious role. So to see him in something comedic is just great. I just think he's terrific. Their chemistry is terrific. They get great guest stars on this show too. I'm trying to think, Corbin Burnson is his dad, Sybil Shepherd is his mom. It's a really good show. It's funny and it's light, and you can like dip in and out of it super easily, but I love it to bits. Another female-led, written, produced, directed, brought to the screen show that I think is amazing is Girls. And the first 5 seasons of Girls are on Prime. So the last season is not available. But this is another one of those shows that I thought was just absolute genius, because I think for so many of us who grew up watching Sex and the City, who thought that that's what life was like in New York, could much rather sooner probably relate to what life was like in Girls, because most of us did not live a Sex and the City kind of an existence. And I think what Lena Dunham did with Girls was also just comedic genius, super smart, such emotional, just not even like heaviness, but such a true emotion brought to the screen in female friendships, in relationships, in what you were facing as a 20-something. Shoshana, who's a little bit younger than them, kind of in college and coming out of college and sort of facing the real world with not airbrushed, perfect, well-crafted, well-curated scenes, makeup, hair, all of it. It is a much more realistic side of things, I think. And the humor is amazing in this. The lengths they will go to for the comedy, for the authenticity of it, I think is just amazing. I have so much respect for Lena Dunham as a creator, and I think what she was able to do with this show is just amazing. I just love it. I remember when it first came out and watching it with a friend of mine who 100% could not get into the show and didn't get it. And I think this is kind of like Fleabag. This is not going to be for everybody. And I love me some Sex and the City, which is also available on Prime. But to me, there's just something about Girls that even when I watch it now, because I already own the first couple of seasons of it, I am either laughing, I am at times crying. I think there is so much, again, I think just the authentic representation in this, from the words, from the images, from, again, these relationships. And you listen to Lena Dunham talk about it, and at the end of the day, she's like, this is like a love story between Marnie and Hannah, and that friendship, which started in college. And I think sort of that feeling of like the first few years after college, like not everyone you meet and who's your friend at that point in your life is going to be your friend for life, and that's okay. And it isn't, I think the thing that I love about the show is it's not happy ending. It doesn't wrap it up in a bow. It doesn't sort of deceive you into thinking that everything's going to be okay at the end of every day. And I think that's fine. And not to be heavy, because this is like admittedly a heavy time, because they're, you know, it is what it is in that sense, but there is a lot of humor and good nature to this. And it's just, there are some moments in the show that are like, I can't even believe they're doing this right now. And they do it. Like, they go to some places that are a little bit dark sometimes. Also a show with amazing guest stars on it. So tune on in if you haven't, and even if you've seen it before. To me, these are all shows that you could watch 10 times over and never be bored of. The next show I want to talk about is Suits. And I will admit, the only reason I tuned into the show in the first place was because of Meghan Markle. And it was a few years ago when it was still on TV, and she was first dating Prince Harry, and like her name was in the press, and they were talking about the show that she was in. And I had some curiosity. So I tuned in on Prime to season 1, and I devoured this show in the way that I was sort of like, why was I not watching this when it was on USA? But who cares, because I found it now. And this is another show that I think is just wickedly smart. And this is, Gabriel Macht is like this high-powered corporate attorney in New York at this huge law firm, and they are trying to hire associates. And then Patrick Adams, yes, that's his name, is kind of like this street smart hustler, photographic memory, and for reasons unimportant to this description, winds up in an interview at the law firm, basically like wows the crap out of Gabriel Macht, winds up getting hired even though he knows he's not actually a lawyer, but sort of takes a risk on him, and then is hired by the firm and starts working on cases even though he hasn't actually passed the bar, but there's this whole fake lawyer thing in the background. And this is sort of a show with like two parts to it, in the sense that you've got the entire corporate law, cases, mysteries, things being solved every week. You've got the drama of the law firm, but then you have this thing hanging over their head, which is that they have hired this guy who's not actually a lawyer to be a lawyer and to work on these cases, which basically is like fraud and 100 other different things. And I love it. I love it. There's the mystery of like, is he going to get caught? You're sort of on your edge of your seat waiting for Patrick Adams' character's name is Mike, for Mike to get caught by the law firm, by other partners, by people that they're, you know, arguing cases against. Meghan Markle plays his love interest eventually. At first, she's just sort of the paralegal who will have nothing to do with him. But of course, you know, they're going to fall in love in episode 1 when they first meet each other. So it is the relationships, it is the friendships that build between them. It's again, it's another show that is like smart dialogue, well written, well crafted stories, really well acted, a lot of really good guest stars and actors and actresses that are in this. I loved it. And I will say the last couple seasons kind of petered out a bit. I didn't love when like Katherine Heigl came on it. Like it definitely lost a little bit shine towards the end. Not even gonna pretend. But again, first 4 or 5 seasons or so of this show was really good. It's one of those shows that I think it's like you just sort of ran out of stories because there's only so much you can do. But when it was strong, when it was hot, when the stories were good, this is definitely just a great show to lose hours of your life with. The next show is a bit of a random one. And this is one of those shows that I want to say it was on BBC, but it was like Canadian TV, or it was a Canadian produced show that I watched when it was first on. And I feel like nobody I knew was watching this show. And it's called Being Erica. And this show is about this woman, and I talked about this in another video about how I love books who sort of give you the clean slate, second chance, do-over kind of a situation with life. And she winds up meeting this therapist, Dr. Tom, and he's kind of like, if you commit to this program with me, like I will help you fix your life. So she needs her life being fixed. She's all in. She says yes. And he has her write down a list of regrets from her life. Moments, things she said, things she did, things she would change if she could go back in time and fix them. And then she gets sent back in time to relive those moments and like do them differently and fix them. And it will have a ripple effect on her current day, but it is so well done and so fun. And again, it is at times comedic, at times very heavy emotionally. Her brother had passed away at one point, and sort of her biggest regret is not being able to prevent her brother from dying. And she is warned sort of at the beginning that you can't change other people's outcomes, but she is so committed to fixing Leo dying in the past. So there is an emotional aspect of this, but there's also a lot of comedy to this. And I just, again, love the idea of being able to have a do-over in life and go back in time. And it's like she gets sent back to like the 80s and they do the costumes and everything and the music, and she's back in college in the 90s and all of these things. And I guess it's just like, I don't know, there's just like some levity to it, but there's also just, again, this reinvention, clean slate sort of aspect to things that I just love. And there were a few seasons of this show, and I just thought it was like such a fun idea and such a creative show and something I wasn't seeing on TV at the time. So this is another one that I think you can easily just sort of get lost in a couple of episodes watching it and want to see what's going to happen for Erica and kind of want to see how she can fix her life and change her life, and if she can fix and change her life. And sort of going back in the past, you know, it's sort of this question of like, are things destined to be the way they're going to be anyway, or can you go back and make changes? And if you change things, does it ultimately make your life better or fix things or change the outcome or change who you are by being able to go back and fix your mistakes? So I guess there's a little bit of like an existential part to this too, not to overthink it, but I thought it was just smart and fun and just an easy, good time kind of a show, and definitely like makes you think about things you would go back and fix if you could. In all fairness, there are like a bazillion different shows and movies and things that are on Amazon Prime, but those are just a few that I wanted to highlight. You could go so deep down like an HBO rabbit hole, like The Sopranos is on there, Veep, 6 Feet Under, Sex and the City, like all of it. There's just so many shows that are on, but these are some that are like my go-tos for either comfort, humor, just really high quality, well done programs. Again, none of these are new. These are all things that have happened in the past, which I'm totally fine with. I love me some nostalgia, but I don't think you can go wrong with any of these shows. So Let me know if you have watched any of them. Let me know if there's other things on Prime that you are definitely like digging into. There's so many movies, which I feel like could be like a whole other video. I just saw like Lincoln Lawyer is on there, which I love. So I just added that back to my queue. Anything Matthew McConaughey, I am down for. Clue is on there. I talked about Clue a few months ago when I read the book that was like Clue. I mean, just, you guys, seriously, like, hop on Prime if you're looking for something to do, if you need to get lost for a little while, if you need to just tune out the noise and just tune out all the background, turn off your television news, get off social media. There's so much stuff out there that I think is just like fueling my anxiety. So when I need a timeout, when I need a peace out, these are the kind of shows that I'm watching. So I wanted to share them with you guys, but let me know what you're watching, what you're tuning into. I am thinking I will do this for Hulu and Netflix. Give me a thumbs up if these are the kind of videos you're interested in, if you want to know what else is out there, what I'm watching, some recommendations about things to watch. I'm talking a mile a minute, but thank you guys for watching, for spending part of your day with me today. I hope you guys are well. I hope everyone is taking really good care, friends, family, all of it. And I will see you guys really soon in my next video. Bye, everybody.